Good morning. My name is Andrew Watkins. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm a worship associate of this congregation, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Cleveland. As I welcome you today, I want to begin by acknowledging that we are gathering on the original lands of the Erie, Haudenosaunee, and Anishinaabe peoples, also known as the Three Fires Council. We recognize the needs to learn more about these complex and sometimes painful histories, to care for the land we inhabit, and to show respect for the diverse peoples and cultures who preceded us, as well as those who gather here now. Our congregation continues to build relationship with the Lake Erie Native American Council as a way of living into these words. I would also like to remind all UUCC members that today, after the service, and before we go downstairs to enjoy the great meal together, please plan to remain in the sanctuary for a brief meeting and congregational vote on the proposed resolution, and that's on the yellow sheet inside your order of service today. It's good to be with you this morning. Welcome. We come from different places, different religions, different beliefs, different ages, and different backgrounds. Welcome. We come here for different reasons: to find community, to seek spiritual and personal truths, to question, to nurture heart and soul, to be nurtured, to explore new ideas, to find comfort, and perhaps to find the answers to some of our bigger questions. We hope you will find comfort, connection, challenge, and love here. Whatever your age, young or old or somewhere between, whoever you are, wherever you come from, whomever you love, know that you are welcome here. We especially welcome any guests who are worshiping with us for the first time today, either with us here physically or joining us in the cyber world. If you are interested in learning more information on who we are, we invite you to fill out one of the guest cards in the pew rack in front of you. You can place that card in the offering plate when it comes around later in the service, and we'll be able to reach out to you and answer any questions you might have about our congregation. If you're watching from an internet platform, you can go to our website, uucleveland.org, or send us an email. We are about to enter into sacred space. Please take a moment to silence your phones or any other electronics you have that might beep. Our chalice lighters today are the Coulter family. And our chalice lighting reading comes from Papp, Uribe-Lichty, a reminder of what we share. The chalice is a symbol of our faith. Like our faith, it is not magic, nor is it mysterious. We light it as a reminder of what we share as a community and of who each of us is called to be. When we feel lost in a chaotic world, may the light of our chalice show us our path. When we are afraid of the times we live in, may the light of our chalice give us courage. When we despair at the injustice and cruelty around us, may the light of our chalice recall us to a faithful hope. Our chalice is a symbol of our commitment to each other and to ourselves. We light it today as a gathered community that we may understand more completely and act more boldly and hope more fiercely.
Good morning. Make sure I can be heard. I am Linda Coulter. I'm also a worship associate here at UUCC. My pronouns are she, her. Our call to worship this morning is by the Reverend Michelle Collins, The Soft, Stubborn Practice. Come to this time of worship, worn, weary, or wide awake. In this gathering, we acknowledge the pressure of living, the tender ache of persisting through uncertainty, the courage of continuing when clarity is distant. Yet here we are, still breathing, still reaching, still becoming. Today, let us embody resilience together, not as armor, but as the soft, stubborn practice of returning to ourselves, to one another, to the work of love. In a short bit, we will be we will join our voices together to sing hymn number 1007. There's a river flowing in my soul. But first, let's take time, some sacred time, to greet one another.
It's good to see you. Get to do that? Okay. Okay. Okay, that helps. Good, good, good. Yeah, no, I like it too. Yeah. Wait. One more thing.
Good morning. My name is Jenni Papp, and I am the Director of Lifespan Faith Development for this congregation. My pronouns are she and they. During the months of January and February at UUCC, there's a tradition of observing what we call Chalica. Chalica is that season here that brings together our spiritual practices, our quest for lifelong learning, and our commitment to justice. Through a ritual of candle lighting, we connect our congregation here with our households and with the families, all of our families in those households. We invite everyone to reflect all week long, a little faith at home week, about the values that guide Unitarian Universalism and what shape our life here together and throughout, and take advantage of that opportunity, deliberate opportunity, I would call it, this week. Over there's a basket that has Chalica candle kits in it. If you haven't taken one yet, please feel free to do that. It's not too late. The Coulter family is going to help us light our Chalica candles up here today. The center candle is pink We always light that first to center our value of liberating love, from which all of our other values are anchored. And then we will relight the candles from the previous weeks. The blue candle we lit for pluralism. The purple candle we lit for transformation. The yellow candle for justice, and the red candle for equity. And this fifth week of Chalica, we light the green candle as we lift up our value of generosity. Generosity through which we cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. We covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, our presence, and our resources. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. This week, while I was preparing our resources, and just so you know, that's what they look like, and they're over there, I was inspired in my exploration of generosity by this poem, and I just have to share it with you. Albert Rios wrote, "When giving is all we have. One river gives its journey to the next. We give because someone gave to us. We give because nobody gave to us. We give because giving has changed us. We give because giving could have changed us. We have been better for it. We have been wounded by it. Giving has many faces, loud and quiet, big though small, diamond in wood, nails. Its story is old. The plot is worn, and the pages worn too. But we read this book anyway, over and again. Giving is first and every time, hand to hand, mine to yours, yours to mine. You gave me blue, and I gave you yellow. Together, we are simple, green. You gave me what you did not have, and I gave you what I had to give. Together, we made something greater from the difference.
And in that generosity, we are a community. And it's in this community that we share those things that mean the most to us, that are nearest to our hearts. And so today, we are holding Mike Miller in our hearts as he has a cardiac procedure done on Monday. We express deep gratitude for Frederick Douglass, whose birthday is in February. We have so much to learn in this Black History Month. And the flowers this morning were donated by Laura Imbornoni, whose husband Steve had a celebration of life yesterday. We continue to hold Laura and her family in our hearts. I put a stone in the bowl for Mike and for Laura. And for Frederick Douglass, many of you have added things in the book which we have shared, and now I invite you to come forward to place a stone in the bowl for those things that are touching your life today.
My water. Good, how are you? Welcome home. Not bad.
Life can certainly be a long and winding road. And we are on that long and winding road together as a community, getting to know one another better, all of us, of all ages, and building those relationships as best we can, and sometimes making mistakes, and very often doing a wonderful job. But those things that are closest to our hearts we share, because this is our beloved community.
So we lit our green candle for our shared value of generosity. Good job. Thank you. You were listening. I shared with what I felt was a really beautiful poem that spoke to me, and we're going to unpack that poem a little bit now in a little embodiment. I need maybe 4 or 5 volunteers who are willing to come up here and help. 4 or 5 volunteers. You may just walk forward. Come on. There we go. There's 2. Any more volunteers who want to come up and help? 3, 4. We could take 1 more. Astrid, awesome. Come on up. Come on all the way up here so that everybody will be able to see you. That's the problem. You may come up, Benjamin. Yeah, come on up. All right. So they're just going to help demonstrate this embodiment of how we look at this poem today. And just listen. You'll be able to go. So that poem begins talking to us about a river. So I want to invite everyone, you and everyone, to sway your arms like a gently flowing river. This is the church version of the wave, right? Just slowly like a gently flowing river. The poem says, one river gives its journey to the next. And that's how generosity moves too. Steady, connected, always flowing forward. That's a beautiful river of generosity. This is a blue scarf. There's blue. There's a blue scarf. I want you to sway that like the river. It's the flowing, flowing. This blue, one person's gift. That's their gift. Maybe their time, their kindness. You could move if you want, that's okay. But don't light the can, don't get it in the can. Okay. Their kindness, their time, their courage. This is yellow. This is another person's gift. There you go. Let's let that yellow flow a little bit. That's another person's gift. Maybe their ideas and their care, their love. And we have more colors. Let's mix those colors together. The poem says, you gave me blue and I gave you yellow. Together we are simple, green. Green is what appears when we share what we have. Let's mix them all together and receive what someone else offers. Yeah, exactly. Let's put them all together. Benjamin, can you hold them all together? All of them. There you go. You get to hold all of them. Our poem also says, giving is hand to hand, mine to yours, yours to mine. I want you to put one palm up. This is what you have to give. This hand is what you're open to receiving. If you would like, I want you to touch your hands with your neighbors gently. If you don't want to do that, touch your own hands together. This is generosity becoming something that is greater, made from the difference. May we each add our blue hands and our green color and our yellow colors, and let's help create a little more green in the world this week. Thank you, friends. I'll take those. Thank you, hon.
Each week, we ask for financial contributions to lift up and support the work of groups and organizations that are living out our values as a congregation. Our offering partner today is Faith Choice Ohio. Faith Choice Ohio elevates the moral power of faith communities to advance abortion access and reproductive justice. They do this through advocacy, by advocating for legislation that will make all reproductive choices accessible and affordable, through education, by providing opportunities for groups and individuals to learn, discuss, and advocate for reproductive health, rights, and justice, and through direct service, by offering meaningful ways for people to provide hands-on support for abortion seekers. Ways such as their Jubilee Fund, Ohio's first faith-based abortion fund that provides practical support to abortion seekers with joy and compassion. Or such as the creation of the abortion care packages, which engages the power of local groups and faith communities to generate care packages that offer practical, compassionate support for those after their abortion. To support the important work of Faith Choice Ohio, I encourage you to give generously and within your means as the offering plates are passed around. Through Zelle on your Bank app, or through Cash App with the cash tag of $UUCC 44122. Be sure to put today's date, February 8th, 2026, and Faith Choice Ohio in the memo line of the app or on your check.
It was the early 1960s and winter in Winthrop, Massachusetts. The city had flooded their tennis courts to create an ice rink. That's where a kid named Mike was headed. He was maybe 6 or 8, and he was determined to play ice hockey with his friends. He carried the only skates his family owned, his sister's white figure skates. They were decorated with blue pom-poms. When he got on the ice wearing those skates, he might have been razzed by his friends. If he was, I like to think that Mike kept quiet but outskated them all. Mike was one of 14 kids and 6 adults who lived in a dark brown 3-family home up the hill from that rink. His immediate family lived on the 2nd floor. The building's other 12 occupants were Mike's aunts, uncles, and cousins. His father was a bartender, and also he worked in a sewage plant. Or maybe he was a sewage plant worker who also tended bar. Regardless, he worked hard, and his son Mike knew it. By the time Mike was 12, he wanted to go to hockey camp. The camp was 2 weeks long. He had the time. What he didn't have was a $75 tuition. So he asked his upstairs neighbor, "Uncle Tony, can I borrow $75? "Absolutely," Uncle Tony replied. Mike attended camp. Then for the rest of the winter, he earned money by shoveling snow for his neighbors. Eventually, he earned enough to pay his uncle back. His uncle took the money and said, "Thank you very much." Then Uncle Tony handed the money back, telling Mike he had just learned a good lesson about working hard and paying off his debts. Mike continued to play hockey. Before he knew it, it was the late 1970s. The late 1970s was not a great time in the United States. There was a partial meltdown at 3 Mile Island Nuclear Generating Plant in Pennsylvania, a hostage crisis in Iran, inflation and unemployment were really high. There was an energy crisis, and we were in the midst of the Cold War. President Carter spoke to the nation saying, "We Americans were experiencing a crisis of confidence that was striking at the very heart and soul and spirit of our national will," a speech often referred to as the malaise speech. Yes, Americans were depressed. We needed something great. We prayed for something awesome. It would take a miracle. We were absolutely sure that the answer to our prayers was not the U.S. men's Olympic hockey team. After all, the U.S. team was ranked 7th at best, and they had been dominated by the Soviet Union, losing to them in every matchup against them since the 1960s. This included a 10-3 crushing loss just weeks before the Olympics. Well, who even watched hockey in the United States anyway? But oh, were we in for a Lake Placid surprise. The U.S. was actually undefeated in their pool. Those college guys got our hopes up. They made it to the medal round where they were set to play the undefeated Soviet team, a team that had outscored their pool opponents 50-8. Really, the Soviet team? Couldn't we play Sweden again? We had just tied them. Or maybe Finland? We might have had a fighting chance against them. The game began. At the end of the first period, the game was unbelievably tied, 2-2. Thank you, Minnesotan Mark Johnson. At the end of the second period, the Soviet team led 3-2. At home, in our living rooms, we feared our dream team was done for, but we hoped we were wrong. Early in the third period, Johnson scored again, tying the game. Then, with 10 minutes left in the game, the U.S. team captain, Rizzo, came from seemingly nowhere and scored. The U.S. was ahead 4-3. But 10 minutes is a long time in hockey, a long time to hold your breath, which most Americans did at the time. Really. Then it came, the countdown, the final seconds. 3, 2, 1. Do you believe in miracles? Yes. And why? Because our team captain, Rizzo, or Mike Eruzione, a kid from Winthrop, Massachusetts, learned to skate wearing his sister's white figure skates with pom-poms on them. In the teaser that I submitted for this service, I stated that both learning to skate and standing up to injustice take practice, and both require courage and resilience. I asked, are these inborn characteristics, or does community have something to do with them? You might not be surprised that I think courage and resilience have something to do with both innate characteristics and the effect of community. This service would be very short if I stopped there. Some of you might be okay with that, but I would not have filled out the brief that our minister, Reverend Randy, gave me before they headed out on sabbatical. So I hope you'll hear me out. We are living in a difficult time. Climate change, wars, and humanitarian crises worldwide, ICE raids around the country and in our local community. It's impossible and pointless to name all the issues people on our planet are facing. If you are like me, you might feel powerless and insignificant. How can we be resilient and courageous enough to survive this? We saw how Mike Eruzione demonstrated resilience and courage, showing up to play hockey in his sister's white figure skates. That likely elicited a few jeers. Something inside him allowed to shrug this off. He also had community. Without his sister, he wouldn't have skates at all. Without his uncle, he'd never be able to attend hockey camp. His experiences, his community, and his natural ability to stay grounded and be able to connect with his teammates enabled him to become the captain of his high school, his college, and ultimately the U.S. Olympic hockey team. This story might seem a little like cotton candy, very sweet, but mostly just colorful air with no real nutrition to help one survive. But I hope his example can be an appetizer to something more filling. Author and teacher Margaret Meg Wheatley applies principles of living systems science, chaos theory, and quantum physics to organizational behavior and leadership. Very nutritious stuff. Meg says, at this time when lives and possibilities are destroyed by casual, destructive decisions, I aspire for us to be sane leaders, devoted to restoring and awakening the finest qualities of being human. Our generosity, creativity, and kindness. When asked how she faces the difficult times we are living in, she says that she notices her level of anxiety and other strong emotions, like powerlessness, despair, and depression. She acknowledges that these feelings are valid and honors them. A spiritual discipline or practice such as meditation or centering prayer allows her to be with despair, while also knowing that it will pass. She says it's critically important to know that it will pass, that not knowing that it will pass is dangerous. Meg says despite the state of the world, she has decided she still wants to serve, wants her work to make a difference. After all, she asks, what's the meaning of life? To be kind, to be helpful to other people. There is so much good, meaningful work to be done, ways to serve people, our community. This can be nourishing. We may not be able to fix the world, but we can fix the human spirit. Meg suggests that if we create islands of sanity where our human spirits come alive and we contribute in ways that make more possible. Creating such an island allows us to awaken generosity and creativity in ourselves and in others. This helps us to protect ourselves from dynamics over which we have no control, and also provides a place to do good work and to work together. Entrepreneur Till Lennon works to help people manage emotions and navigate the current era of environmental and social disruption. He suggests that experiences can provide an island of sanity. Listening to a song, having a grounding conversation with a friend, sitting next to a tree. It can be a group of people who make you feel like you're not crazy for despairing about the world. Lennon says experiencing safety within a community can help us to process our fears and emotions, allowing us to connect again, and help us live with generosity, creativity, and kindness, even amidst the chaos. It helps us to live with love. As I explored Meg Wheatley and Till Lennon's work, first I thought, islands of sanity? Well, that's a weird term. But I got past that and thought, are there any islands of sanity in my life? Yes, there are. One is my Unitarian Universalist faith. What drew me to Unitarian Universalism is its life-saving message. The UU principles and words I heard from the pulpit assured me that I am worthy. I am accepted. I matter. I believe in the core of my being that if more people could hear those words, know them, and feel them, that hundreds or thousands of lives could be saved. I have stayed a UU because our religion is made up of stubbornly courageous, resilient people. People who do their best to live out UU principles and who endeavor to take actions centered around love. This is in our DNA and displayed throughout history. Our Unitarian forebears in Transylvania have existed for over 450 years, persisting as a small, often oppressed minority in a region marked by shifting borders, ethnic strife, and religious repression. Their churches survived Habsburg crackdowns, legal restrictions, communist surveillance, and impoverishment. Ministers and lay people have kept congregational life going in tiny villages, crumbling buildings, and with extremely modest means. This is courage and resilience embodied. They have held on to their beliefs, continued to worship and teach. They've repaired church walls, replaced bells, and by doing so, they've kept Unitarian language and culture alive under regimes that wanted them erased. During the U.S. Civil Rights Movement, many Unitarian and Universalist clergy and lay people traveled to the South, marching and risking their safety. Lay member Viola Liuzzo, a Detroit UU, answered Martin Luther King Jr.'s call. She drove to Selma and was murdered by white supremacists while transporting marchers. UU congregations that sent people, raised funds, and continued justice work despite threats embodied resilience by expressing their faith commitments boldly and publicly, even if it was costly, standing up to racism not just in statements, but in where they showed up, who they accompanied, and what risks they accepted, modeling for others what it looks like to persist in love amid violence and backlash. This courageous activism continues today. On January 23rd, UU clergy from our region, Reverend Susan Ritchie, Reverend Christina Church, and Reverend Tom Bodie joined tens of thousands of others for the Day of Truth and Freedom, a nonviolent moral action calling for the end of ICE operations in Minnesota. About a dozen UUs, including Reverend Jen Crow, the senior minister at First Universalist Church of Minneapolis, were among 100 clergy members who were arrested during the action. Less than a week later, UUA President Sophia Betancourt was arrested in Washington, D.C., while protesting the Homeland Security budget, which funds ICE. She said, "There is no moral justification for voting for a budget that will put more resources toward the violation and dehumanization of our neighbors. As religious leaders, we have an ethical obligation to show up and say that this will not be done in our name." The following day, January 30, at least 15 members of this congregation attended the ICE Out rally in downtown Cleveland. Our sabbatical minister, Reverend Elaine Strawn, spoke at the rally on that day when record low temperatures were recorded in our city. Yes, our denomination is an island of sanity. More importantly, I hope the UUCC congregation is an island of sanity for you. Our mission tells us we want this to be true. Community within and without. Spirituality, searching and growing. Justice in action. It is working toward this mission that allows our UU community to do what Wheatley and Lennon suggest, to awaken generosity and creativity, to help protect ourselves from dynamics over which we have no control, and to provide us a place to do good work together and to do it well. There is so much opportunity here. The Democracy in Action team helps to respond faithfully, thoughtfully, and together to matters that challenge the health of our democracy, even in temperatures that are below zero. Our small groups, whether they be for walking, making art, reading books or poetry, taking outings, and more, each allows us a way to connect with one another, to build community, to create. The pretrial support team offers us a way to make a meaningful difference in the lives of people in our Cleveland community, people who don't experience the privilege that many of us who are here today do. And there are so many more chances: lay pastoral care, spiritual practices, religious education, forums that matter, music. I could go on. There are more that I've not mentioned than I have, but they all point to the stubborn resilience and the courageous, meaningful work of our congregation, of this island of sanity. Yes, things are overwhelming. Everything that is wrong in the world, everything that needs to be done, even thinking of all the things we can participate in at this congregation can be overwhelming. So it's good to remember the words of Edward Everett Hale. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do. When you leave here today, I hope you have found something you can do, a way to connect, a bit of hope, meaning, or sanity. In this way, we can shore up our courage, our resilience, and when we do the work our life calls us to do. Let us now join our voices together in singing hymn number 121 in the Gray Hymnal, We'll Build a Land.
Good morning. I'm Carol Gay, and I am the treasurer for the Building Our Tomorrows Capital campaign. You guys can come in. This means I'm watching and waiting for pledges and gifts to come into the capital campaign. When we had the kickoff back in early December, we announced that we had already raised $2,625,400. Since then, we've been busy visiting members to talk about that campaign. And all these people up here have made visits, and if there's anybody out there that I didn't see that has been a visitor, you can stand at this point in time. Anyways, these people have completed close to 140 visits with our congregants. Thank you, visitors, and thank you, congregants, for inviting visitors in to talk to you. We still have visits to schedule. If you haven't heard from a visitor and would like to move up the line, talk to one of us after the service. Now, for where we are today. You guys can show us the other number. Woo! We are now at 4 million. Oh, yeah. $4,024. Whew, that is 2/3 of the way to our ultimate goal, which was a very aggressive goal. Thank you, everyone. Okay, that's all.
Oh, some good news. Before our benediction, I've been reminded to remind you, all UUC members, please remain in the sanctuary for a brief meeting and congregational vote on the proposed resolution found on the yellow sheet in your order of service. After the vote, everyone is invited downstairs to enjoy a shared meal as the sabbatical team facilitates our second congregational conversation. As we focus on the UUCC's physical presence, we also want to focus on our internal life. How we live into the future as a beloved community is deeply important, and we value your input. Our benediction is by the Reverend Michelle Collins. Prayer for resilience through connections. Source of love, spirit of interdependence, we give thanks for the web that holds us, the hands that have steadied us, the voices that remind us we are not alone, the presence of those who have leaned on us, just as we have leaned on them. Resilience is not a solitary triumph. It is woven through community, shared meals, gentle questions, laughter that breaks through grief, courage borrowed from one another when our own runs thin. In this moment, let us remember that we are stronger together than apart. May we continue to offer and receive care, trusting that our connections sustain us, even when we cannot behold the whole picture. Blessed be the bonds that hold and that keep holding.
Please join me in reading the words of our chalice extinguishing, found on the yellow sheet in the pew rack in front of you. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
out here. You can